So I know you don't know this. So many moons ago, I was actually a hip hop artist. So I used to open up for famous rappers for years and years and years. KRS-One, Spectre Deck, the Wu-Tang guys, open up for Pharrell. It was some of the best times of my life. Obviously, you're a hip hop artist. I remember the first time that I started rapping. We were in a classroom, we're beating on the desk, and it started coming out. And then I started listening to the hip hop lyrics, and I would exchange out the words for my name. That's how it would kind of start flowing. Do you remember the first moment where you started rapping or where you fell in love with hip hop?
The very first moment, oh man, funny. Like I always liked hip hop. I was a hip hop dancer since I was 7 years old, and so I think the real first moment is I always wrote poetry since I was little too. Like you learn about like the poems in like 3rd grade and all that. Right. So as soon as I learned about poetry, I started writing little poems, and that was like a little hobby of mine. And I was a dancer. I was just into music. One day, back in the like LimeWire Napster days,
The LimeWire Napster.
I'm trying to download. I think it was like an Eminem song.
Illegally.
Exactly. Yep. Sorry about that, guys. And I accidentally downloaded the instrumental. And then it was like a fire just like lit up in me, right? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to write my own rap to this. Right. And I wrote my own rap to it. And I rapped it for a homie. And, we're in like high school and we're like smoking a blunt. And he's like, yo, that was crazy. He was like, you're going to be like Tupac by the time you're 20. And my friend kind of encouraged me. And then after that moment, after that first rap that I wrote over that instrumental, I was like, you know what? I like doing this. And then I started purposely trying to download the instrumentals to write my own little raps over them. And then I just stayed doing it.
Did you ever battle? Did you ever get in a battle rap?
I never was a battle rapper, and it's funny because I'm actually doing country music now, which it's a long story. We'll get into that maybe later. But I think maybe that's always been my problem with hip hop is like, I'm a hip hop head. I love hip hop. It's in my blood practically, but I'm a very friendly person. I don't want to fight nobody. I'm like, I don't want to battle nobody. I want to be friends with everybody. And like, why can't we all just, get along? So that's somewhere where I feel like I've never thrived in that space, in the battle rapping, I'm just like, I don't want to diss you. Like, I want to be a nice person.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You mentioned you just recently transitioned over the country.
Yeah.
And I love the transition. You're killing it. I've done this many times in my career, transition many times now. When an artist that's creative transitions over to another genre, now, case in point would be Machine Gun Kelly. To me, super talented. And I'm a big Eminem fan, by the way. So forget all that beef stuff. I can love Eminem and I can respect Machine Gun Kelly's talent. Now, when somebody transitions over to a different genre, especially like MGK, the internet trolls come out. No matter what, they just come out, and it drives me nuts because I think to myself, allow that person to be creative in a different space.
Yeah.
We're creatives. That's what we want to do. How do you deal with internet trolls? And by the way, I read comments and I study social media. You have a very minimal amount on the country stuff. So it's like 90% positive. And every once in a while, someone's like, what you doing country?
Yeah.
So how do you deal with the internet trolls that do come at you for trying to change genres?
I've gotten a lot better at dealing with the internet trolls. Because obviously I didn't become a rapper in the first place from being a person who doesn't like to speak up. You know what I mean? Like I speak up, I say what's on my mind, I stand up for myself if need be. Right. So I used to go at the trolls back in the day.
You'd go into the comments.
I would go in.
Which is a dangerous territory sometimes.
Exactly. But then I started to realize, I started to look at some of the profiles of who my trolls are. And I actually started to feel genuinely bad for some of these people. Like they got 3 followers, like no pictures on their page, or like you could tell it's a person who's like lonely, maybe doesn't have like the best life. And so that's when I realized like I have to just look at it like these people aren't 100% happy with themselves. And that's why they do things like this. And if you're just mean back to them, you're just hurting them even more than clearly what their life is already hurting. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so I just, every now and then I'll snap back here and there if it's like a really aggressive or extra mean comment. But for the most part, I just ignore it because it's like I've worked with legends in the music industry who have told me, Chanel, you've got what it takes. Like keep going. Too Short, Snoop, like Lil Wayne, like so many dope people. And they've really encouraged me to keep going and ignore all of that hate.
Right.
And when you've worked with legends and like done all the cool things I've done in the music industry, you're not going to let some online internet troll with 3 followers change what you do,
Right.
And I think it's funny too when they like get all mad about switching genres. I've even seen a couple people defending me like, has nobody ever listened to more than one genre of music? I like hip hop, I like classical, I like country, I like rock. And I'm trying to experiment with music because I love making music, Like I don't see what the big deal is when you change genres.
Right. What's interesting to me about the internet trolls is, I don't know if you saw this video. It was like maybe 8 different men saying Taylor Swift was disgusting looking. No, she doesn't have a booty. She doesn't have this. And then,
That's so mean.
then somebody grabbed the profiles of these individuals. And I'm not one to look. I'm not one to talk down on people's looks. We're all, God gave us what we look
Yeah.
right. But every one of these men couldn't pull a one. Right? You know, no offense, troll. So as you mentioned, you've collabed with some of the biggest names in hip hop, right? I remember my days in the studio, and they were missions, and sometimes it was crazy, fights breaking out. Can you tell us one of your craziest experiences with a major artist in the studio, and maybe some of the worst artists you dealt with, and some of the bad experiences, if you can remember?
I've been really lucky.
Yeah.
I've been blessed. I feel like I've been under divine protection by God because I haven't had too many bad experiences or dealt with too many like really bad people in the industry. I will say a funny story that I'm not going to get super into. But I did get into an argument one time with Snoop Dogg in the studio.
What could you possibly argue?
Dude,
Was he smoking too much?
I was the one smoking too much,
Oh,
okay?
okay,
Because
okay.
who the hell speaks back to Snoop Dogg?
Right,
I was like
right.
out of my mind that night, okay?
Right.
And so it's a very long story. Long story short, we're cool now. We ended up doing a song together
That's
after
amazing.
that. I remember like at the time, the management I had at the time was cool with his management. So they like made us like reconnect and be like, hey, let's squash this beef. But like it went from like 0 to 100 real quick. Like that, like if there was a definition of 0 to 100 real quick, it was that. And so
What was the main reason behind the
So-
disagreement?
I'll just tell you the story.
Yeah.
So I'm in the studio and like this is my first time meeting Snoop. I'm so excited. Like my name's Chanel West Coast. You know what I'm saying? I grew up listening to West Coast rap mainly, and I had a dog named Snoop as a teenager. Our family dog was named Snoop Dogg. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
As an idol.
this was like the moment of my dream.
Right.
So I'm just hanging out, like waiting for my moment. And so he plays this song that he did with a female rapper who's nobody. She went nowhere. And at the time, I would guess you would say somebody who would be in comparison to me type. And I hear the song and I just say what's on my mind. I say, you should do a song with me. She's whack. And Snoop like took it the wrong way, you know, and he was like, yo, like, how you gonna say she's whack? I just did a song with her. That's like saying I'm whack. And I said, Snoop, you're Snoop. Like, you're a legend. Nothing changes who Snoop is. Like, even if you did a song with this girl, you're still a legend.
Right.
And so I feel like I was making good points. And then he was like, had to make his point too. And the next thing you know, we're just like arguing. And I can't even remember like how it escalated or where it went. But then somebody had to like literally, I call him my uncle JJ, who's the one who introduced me to Snoop. He had to come back in the studio and literally he carried me out of the studio. He's like, we gotta go, Sunshine, because that's like one of my nicknames, Sunshine. And it was just very random. And then I was crying. I was like in another studio at the studio crying. And I was like, my rap career is over. Like, I just got to argue with Snoop Dogg. Like, I was like, I can never be a West Coast rapper with Snoop. He doesn't like me. And the funniest, I remember Chris Brown was there that night too.
Chris Brown was there. Yeah.
Chris Brown had come back from the movies while this happened. He went to the movies, came back, and I'm like crying. And they're like, yo, Chanel, what happened? And then I tell them, and he's like, what do you mean you got in a fight with Snoop Dogg? I'm like, it just happened so fast. I don't know.
Did some of the smoke have to do with the?
Dude, it was me. So I don't drink
Right.
like dark liquor. That's not my vibe.
Right.
So it was Snoop. He had some Hennessy in there, and I was like trying to be cool. So I took a couple shots of Hennessy, which is what I think loosened me up to just say what was on my mind. And yeah, it was a funny, crazy moment. But it's definitely like craziest moments in my whole music career, especially because I ended up being cool with him, and he forgave me for being like crazy. He kind of respected me, I think.
Respect the honesty.
He respected that I spoke my mind.
Right.
That's what he told me.
Coming off that insanely incredible story, showbiz can get absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know that based on a million stories you probably have.
Oh, yeah.
Being a mother in showbiz, raising a kid now,
Yep.
would you ever allow your daughter to get into showbiz, or are you going to protect her from that world, or allow her to kind of make the decisions she wants to make in that regard?
So that's a tough question. I really want my daughter to follow her dreams and do what she wants to do in life. And I want to be supportive of that. And if she wants to be in showbiz, which we're already getting an inkling that she might, she's like singing and dancing nonstop and she's 2.5.
Wow.
If that's what she wants to do, I just want to make sure I can be very hands-on with her and hopefully be at a place in my career where maybe I've already had a ton of success and now it's time to focus on her. And I would love to be like the Kris Jenner. You know what I'm saying? I'd love to be the momager that just really maybe a little bit more of the G-rated Kris Jenner.
Yeah,
Like, I don't want to be putting my kid in Playboy and stuff.
Yeah. She went a little hard with that first tape.
Kris Jenner was just like, and money talks. What's up?
Yeah.
But I'm a little bit more protective, I think, and that's why I want to make all of those business opportunities happen for her, like Kris Jenner's done for her family. Like, she's been such an amazing momager. But I do think I want to be like extra in the mix so that I can be hands-on protecting her, because there's a lot of weirdos in the industry, and they say a lot of people try to influence children in the industry, and I'm very weary of that. Sometimes I feel like I was doing that stuff as a kid, and maybe I was being protected in some way because it never worked out for me as a child, and then you hear these like horror stories about like these people who came from Nickelodeon and are like getting molested and stuff.
Ridiculous.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't ever want her to be in any situations like that. If she wants to act, sing, do any of that, I'm going to be there like holding her up until the moment that it's time for the camera to go on. You know?
Did your parents kind of guide you through the showbiz world, or that was entirely on you?
So my mom really tried to get me into acting and music and all that, because she saw I was like I was the funniest kid. Like, if you see videos of me as a kid, you'll be like, I should have been like the Miley Cyrus. I was funny as hell, just said anything, at spur of the moment. And my mom really tried, but also like as a kid, you want to like, it'd be a Saturday, time for piano lessons, time for an audition. And I'm like, I just want to play with my friends, And so I feel like I was a little bit more rebellious to wanting to work as a kid.
Yeah.
And then as I got older, I realized that was what I want to do. And I kind of did it on my own at that point. But my parents tried to get me into that stuff as a kid. And I did a couple jobs here and there. But my dad also too had said that he felt that he had heard weird stuff about, stuff with kids in the industry. And so he kind of like eased back on it a little too, because he was like, you know what, let's just let her have a normal childhood. And if she still wants to do this when she's older, so be it. And that's what happened.
If you were to go back to the beginning of your career in showbiz and music and being on the TV show, what would you tell your younger self to avoid, and then things to do maybe more of while you're going into the industry?
Well, I would tell my younger self this. So I've invested a lot of my TV money into my music career, and that's been going great for me as an independent music artist. I always make the money back on my gigs. I drop this much on the music video, I get 3 gigs and I make it back, I will say that as I've gotten older, I've learned about so many different things you can invest your money in where you can make a lot back. And I feel like I wish I could take all this knowledge I have now, tell my younger self, like, hey, invest your money better, invest your money earlier. I've done okay. Like, it took me a little later in my career to be like, nope, let me invest in some real estate. Yep. Let me start some businesses, like my swimwear line. It took me a while to be like, I got to invest in something other than my music career,
right.
And I just wish I could go back and tell my younger self, like, hey, girl, just invest in this here, invest in that there, and you're going to be so chilling in 10 years that you're not going to care about a song.
Right.
100%.
I love that. One of the main reasons I wanted to interview you, because you are indeed an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You have the show, you have your swimwear line, you're a musician, you're changing genres, right? Now, when it comes to motivation as an entrepreneur, I believe that there's internal motivation and external motivation. Internal is something we just have, right? And I came out my mother's womb, I was selling breast milk to the other babies the minute I popped out, right? How do you get external motivation? What I mean by that is, she knows I have things all around my house that constantly trigger me because, as entrepreneurs, it's not that we lose motivation, but some days we get in little ruts and then hop back out of them. Even when I'm using the bathroom, there's something right in front of me that says, believe in your dream. So I'm constantly putting things around my house to trigger me to consistently be motivated externally. How do you do that in your own life, as an entrepreneur moving forward? What do you have around you to keep you moving forward?
Well, it's funny. Right here, I have on my wall that you saw my little inspiration wall where I have a bunch of my favorite icons.
Yeah.
You could get a little shot of this after. We'll edit it in.
100%.
But, just something as simple as that, right? And like some people will look at it the wrong way, right? Like even it's funny. I had a family member that was like, oh, you care more about celebrities and Hollywood because you got pictures of celebrities on your wall. And I was like, I have pictures of the family too. What are you talking about? This wall here means a lot to me because I put a bunch of, iconic figures who inspire me in different ways on the wall. And like, there's been times, I'm not even joking, where I'm having like a moment in my career, especially as an independent artist, you go through a lot of stuff and I feel defeated and I'm like, oh my God, I just want to give up on music, whatever. And then I'll go like walk by this wall and I'm just like, no, I don't want to give up. One day I want to be an icon, like one of these people, and have somebody hanging a picture of me on their wall saying, Chanel inspired me, the same way that Tupac inspired me or Blondie or, Leonardo DiCaprio or Bob Marley. Like, I want to be an inspiration to other people. And I think, like, even just looking at images of these inspiring icons on my wall on a daily basis reminds me, like, you want to be an inspiration like that.
When we as entrepreneurs transition careers, there's always some sort of fear behind it. I've done it 3 separate times. It's terrifying at times, but it's inspiring when we move forward. Not to get too much into detail about it, but when you did leave the show and you transitioned to your music career, even though you had the music career, but you transitioned to other ventures, was there a fear when you left that? Because obviously that's the comfort, that's the paycheck. You know it's paying the bills, and you know the job's always there. When you went out on your own, or when entrepreneurs go out on their own, it's called burning the boat. You have to burn the boat so you know you can survive on the island. When you burn the boat of the show that you left, was there a fear there? And how did you kind of get over that hump?
There was a huge fear there. It was a very hard time for me, like, in my life, because I had just given birth via emergency C-section, like something I was not mentally prepared for.
Right.
And so I was a new mother, and it's a lot of things that go into factor on why I'm not still on Ridiculousness. And one day I'll tell the full story. I'm not ready to fully yet.
Got it.
But it was a very big fear for me. MTV came to me basically, and they offered me my own TV show, which I did. I executive produced it.
Congratulations.
And it was very scary because, truth be told, you know, MTV is very much over the past, like, I'd say 5 to 10 years, it's shows that have just kind of been there. Ridiculousness, Jersey Shore, Cribs. Staples. And so I was leaving a show that's consistently just doing its thing to start something new and fresh. And MTV hasn't launched that many new shows in a long time.
They rerun Ridiculousness for like a month straight. And
Exactly.
you go on. That's all that plays.
Exactly. So this was a big risk for me. It was a big change. I also was like, do I really want to have people all up in my mix filming my life on this level? Because it was a reality show about my life. I'm a new mom. I'm like way overweight. I'm like, I never thought I'd be getting my own reality show about my life where I'm freaking 60 pounds overweight, you know?
Yeah.
But I was also so interested in telling my story and letting people see that I'm way more than just the girl on the couch who laughs. I wanted people to see I do music. I have a swimwear line. I have a podcast. I'm a mom, and I'm not the type of mom who has like 3 nannies. Like, I raised my child. My mom is like our only nanny.
Right.
And so when you're a very hands-on mother trying to do all this stuff, I feel like it's something people need to see. Like, I want to inspire other women, you know? So I wanted to do that. And I wanted to finally take a stab at being on the producing side.
Right.
So that was really exciting for me. It was like, oh, you know, I have no part in the production of Ridiculousness. I just come there, sit on the couch, do my thing. But this was an opportunity for me to have my hand in the overall creative.
Right.
And that's what I've always like wanted to do. And I realized that more through doing music as an independent artist. I'd be doing all these music videos. And I started to like be like practically directing my own videos. And that's when I was like, oh, I like making the actual video. I like being behind the camera too. So it was very scary, but I feel so rewarded by what I've got to experience from taking that leap. You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely amazing. As you probably know, Fat Joe and Jada have their own show, right? They're hilarious.
I love Fat Joe. I love Jada too.
Yeah, amazing. So there's always a debate about top 5. And I know it's subjective. You have a different top 5. I have a different top 5. But they were talking about their top 5s. And it was such a hilarious conversation. I'm curious about Chanel West Coast's top 5 hip hop artists of all time that inspired you when you were coming up. And also who you really into now? Who's inspiring you now in the music world?
Okay, so top 5 hip hop artists who inspired me to be a rapper. It's funny, I actually should have started with this story because before that instrumental moment, I had a day where you're gonna crack up. Like, do you remember like trying to record songs off the radio with like a cassette tape?
We call them the Iowa. The cassette tape was called Iowa, AIWA. Yes.
Well, but also, did you know the trick of putting the piece of tape like over the cassette tape to record?
Maybe. Real quick, not to cut you off, who I actually recorded those with, you know, Nori from Drink Team.
Yeah.
His sound engineer, Hazardous. That's how we started. So I've opened up for Nori before at one of his events, but that's how we started doing those Iowa tapes. But continue.
So one day I'm like in like 7th grade and I just wanted to, this is actually like right before Napster and LimeWire, I wanted to record some songs off the radio I liked. And I literally go with the cassette tape to record Tupac, How Do You Want It? And this actually probably should have been the story for the moment. But I'm writing down the lyrics to Tupac, How Do You Want It? And in that moment, I kind of had the idea. I was like, wait, this is just like poetry, like over a beat. And then that was when I realized, oh, maybe I should start writing some raps, right? And so I will say Tupac probably was the very first artist that truly inspired me to start writing raps from that little moment of just trying to write his lyrics down. and then Eminem, who's instrumental. I later wrote my first draft on.
Which instrumental was it?
God, I'm trying to remember, dude. It was so long ago, and like
He had so.
I forgot. So Tupac, Eminem, then Lil Wayne.
Yep.
Lil Wayne is he really is the GOAT. I mean, he's so amazing. He's done so much different styles too within his music as well. Like, I mean, even How to Love was like a straight like pop rock song. You know what I mean? So Tupac, Eminem, Lil Wayne. I would say, it gets really tough because it's like Jay-Z probably.
Yeah.
Jay-Z is just like the freestyle god. You know what I mean? Like he's
doesn't write anything down. It's
and
incredible.
And some of his first songs, like I remember, really inspired me. Sorry, I'm taking so long on
No,
it.
you're good. You're good.
I'm like,
it's a tricky list. You can't put five into a list. It's almost impossible.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of blanking right now. Maybe though, like I will say, like in high school, was a big fan of Jadakiss.
Oh man.
And I know that sounds crazy as like this little white girl listening to Jadakiss, but like I just loved the way he rapped and his flow was so unique, and like lyrically he was just like, he was crazy, you know. And I always say that one line. He said, "I'm not cocky, I'm just confident. So when you tell me I'm the best,
it's a compliment." Oh, I know. D-Block.
That's one of my favorite songs ever. And so I guess I would have to put Jadakiss up there in that top 5 probably.
No, it's a good top 5. That's extremely solid. And MCs these days that inspire you, is it still those people, or
probably still those people?
Is there a new class?
Still those people, but a couple new rappers from like the past, I'd say 15 years. Definitely people like Big Sean.
Oh yeah.
J. Cole. As far as female rappers, she's actually not super known. Lady London, do you know who she is? Amazing.
I never got into her music, but the name sounds.
She's amazing. She needs to be way bigger.
So that's not the one that was on the Snoop Dogg song, I assume.
No. If it was her, I would have been like, "Oh, I'm trying to collab. What's up?"
Yeah. That's when you said.
Doechii.
So creative.
I loved her. Her flow is just insane. Like it's just so dope. Obviously Drake. I've been saying, it's so funny. I said for 10 years straight, every interview when they're like, "Who do you want to collaborate with?" I'd be like, "Drake."
Yeah.
I was like, I know this man has seen Google alerts. I know he has.
Yeah.
I have said it in so many interviews. I'm like, "Drake, I know you've seen the Google alerts. Like, Chanel West Coast wants to collab with Drake." And I'm like, dude, I just want to make that happen. Even though I'm Chanel West Coast and the West Coast has slightly alienated Drake after the whole Kendrick.
He's been under attack for like a year now.
It's been hard. And then that's what's really hard
go back.
As a West Coast artist.
Yeah.
It's like, whose side do I pick?
Yeah.
I love Drake. I came from the Young Money world. Lil Wayne gave me a cosign. So it's like, oh my God, I feel like I got to be Team Drake. But then it's like, you feel like you got to be Team Kendrick as a West Coast artist. Like, so I'm very torn, but I still would love to collaborate with Drake. Now that I'm doing country and I've been getting into listening to country so much in the past couple years. Oh my God, I have so many favorite artists I listen to now in that genre. Morgan Wallen, Lainey Wilson, Luke Combs, Shabuzi, Tanner Adele, I love her. Miranda Lambert, I've been covering some songs of hers. I love her. Post Malone. Post
is crazy.
I would love to collaborate with him because I think we both share the common bond of like, he came from hip hop.
Right.
I'm coming from hip hop. I'm now going into country. He's killing it in country.
Transitioned very successfully.
Yes. Yeah. And so I feel like that would be somebody great to collaborate with on this new project that I'm working on. And I am doing country, but I just want to put it out there for all the people listening, for all the fans. There's still going to be that like hip hop undertone, that flavor to it. You know what I mean? Like
that's your origins.
Exactly. There's still that pop element. It's very universal. That's the best way to put it.
Right. I love it. Now, as an entrepreneur, I'm extremely big on habit. As a matter of fact, I don't read much, but I listen to audiobooks. So I'm listening to The Power of Habit at the moment. What types of habits do you implement in your day-to-day in order to keep pushing forward and do what you do?
The type of, well, first of all, this might sound ridiculous, but like I think keeping a calm mind while you're dealing with so much stress and so many different things is so important. And like little things like meditation. I don't know if we had it on when you guys came in. My boyfriend and I will play these cozy coffee shop things on YouTube. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Let's say
the cozy coffee shop things.
No, not
I'm gonna put one on and you're like, this is so relaxing.
Yeah.
So like literally just like keeping my mental state calm on a daily basis, however I need to do that. You know what I mean? Like whether it's meditation, working out, just taking a hike around the neighborhood and being in some nature. I feel like keeping the balance of your fitness and health along with all of this chaos is what really keeps you grounded and able to still focus. Like I get a little bit of ADD sometimes, and it's like sometimes I'm thinking about I have to do fucking 20 things, and I'm like, you know what? Let me just go take a hike. Let me go take a walk, mentally decompress, think about the stuff I got to do, and then come back and like get to it. It's really for me like life is all about balance, and I think that if you're gonna go out and party on a Friday night, the next day you should be eating healthy, drinking water, and
no seed oils.
no seed oil.
Yeah.
But you could still party.
Right.
You could still have a drink here and there. You know, like it's like life is all about balance. And I think part of being an entrepreneur is you have to keep a calm mind. Like that is such an important thing, because if you're juggling like 20 things and you're completely frantic, you're not going to be able to focus on things the right way, you know?
100%. As entrepreneurs, we need to learn how to thrive in the chaos, I call it.
Oh my God.
It's beyond important.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you look on social media right now, I always see a debate when it comes to, should I have a kid or should I not have a kid? It's like a back and forth debate. And the debate is more or less about, if I have a kid, I feel like it's going to hold me back from what I want to do, hold me back from my dreams. You obviously have a kid now, which is amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Do you feel those sentiments about having a kid, or do you think it helps propel you forward more? Or do you feel like it could hold you back because you have to focus all your energy on this new human being?
I think if I had a kid like before the age of 30, that it might have held me back, because mentally I was still growing up. I wasn't even, you know, people think you're a grown up at 25, and it's like, you're still a freaking kid. Like we're not grown up till like 40. You know what I mean? That's what I've literally realized now that I'm like here, you know, I'm like, I know people 40 still acting crazy like they're still in high school.
Yeah.
So back then, I feel like because I wasn't as mentally like prepared and everything, that it probably would have.
Right.
But I feel like I was in the right place in my life to have a child. And, you know, I had a lot of success with TV. I made a decent amount of money. I'm like, you know, like I feel like this is a good time. And I think for me, especially because I've had a lot of struggle with my music career too, that it really motivated me with that. Like I started, it's funny too, like I launched my swimwear line while I was pregnant.
Wow.
It was not supposed to be a maternity swimwear line or anything like that, you know? And so things like that were a little stressful. I was a little like, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to be the face of the swimwear line and I got a huge belly. What am I going to do? You know, there's a couple stressful moments, but as far as my music, she really inspired me. It was like she lit a new fire inside of me that made me want to go harder than ever and really just finally make it happen for her, you know? And so that's something that happened. Like it might be a little harder when you have a kid. You're going to have a lack of sleep. You might look a little older from the lack of sleep, like be a little more tired, but you feel more inspired, I feel like, to keep going because of the kids. You know what I'm saying?
Obviously, being on TV for so long, you're extremely recognizable out here. What's the craziest fan interaction you've had with someone that recognizes you from everything you do? And also, are there times where you actually disguise yourself? Sometimes when you see Leonardo DiCaprio, for example, he was at Jeff Bezos' wedding.
Oh, but he's hilarious. Like, bro, we can all see that's your little putty face.
His hat down to his chin. I'm like, Leo.
He should have just wore like a veil.
Yeah, sure. To be more recognizable. Craziest fan interaction, and how do you avoid, you know, people running up to you in the streets and saying crazy things and so on and so forth?
So I've had a lot. And I've had a lot because too, like, think about it. You come from a show like Ridiculousness where it's also a show where I'm laughing all the time. I'm super happy and funny. So I come off as a very approachable person. Right. This is Rob Dyrdek's biggest problem, because I would say, is not as approachable in real life as he gets on TV. And he probably like gets so annoyed because people would think, oh, I can just go up to Rob because he's the nicest, coolest guy. And it's like, no, he's busy. He does not want to talk to you. Yeah. Promise. I'm a little bit more friendly, I guess you could say, in public. But I did have one fan one time. And this is what's crazy about this story, okay? I never say no to pictures. I will look like crap and I'll be like, let me just put my sunglasses on. And so I was really, really sick. I had a terrible cold. I'm in the grocery store trying to buy tea and like everything for the cold. And I'm like runny nose, like disgusting, okay? Like, and so some girl's like, oh, Chanel West Coast. Hey, what's up? I was like, oh, hey, like, how are you? And she's like, can I get a picture? And I never say no. But like, it was a moment where it's like, I don't have glasses. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, I am really sick right now. And I feel disgusting. And I can't take a picture. I'm sorry. This girl's like crazy. And she like snaps on me. And she's like, you should be happy anybody even wants a picture with you. You're not even that famous anyways. And like, it was like so crazy and like abrupt. Like I thought she was gonna like she was like a crazy person kind of, you know? And I was like, oh, okay. And like, it was so wild how she reacted that like, I then after that kind of became scared to say no. Cause I'm like, is the next person going to be crazier? And like, you know what I'm saying? And so that was just like a moment where I was like, oh Lord, like, let me just continue to say yes to pictures. Who cares if I got a runny nose? Where's this picture's We're going to end up anyways. Like, who's this lady?
Now, obviously you love your life, but if you could swap lives with anyone alive right now for 24 hours to experience it, who would you swap with and why?
if I could swap lives with anybody, it'd probably be somebody whose life is super easy and like they're just chilling. I don't know, maybe like Jeff Bezos' new wife or something. Maybe I'd switch with her. You know, I'm trying to go to outer space. I'm trying to have money. What's up?
Oh man. I mean, I hope they stay together because that is going to be the most expensive divorce in the history of life. So yeah, I'm hoping they stick with it. Didn't they rent out Venice for that wedding?
That's what I heard. And
there was protests all over Venice.
This is the funniest thing though. I have to just say this is a total random thing. Shout out to Charlize Theron for just being so outspoken. She literally was like mad that she's like the only like celebrity practically who didn't get invited. She's like, yeah, I'm big. She's like, I think I'm like the only celebrity who didn't get invited. She's like, honestly, F them. They're not that cool anyway.
Shout out to you, Charlize.
See, like I thought it was just funny that she said that, you know?
So many moons ago, I actually started a clothing line and it was very difficult. I mean, there was many steps I had to take to even get it in a couple clothing stores.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult process to start a clothing line. So I commend you there. What were some of the challenges you faced other than you mentioned, you know, starting a bathing suit line when you were pregnant? What are some of the challenges you faced of starting a bathing suit brand?
A few. One was I originally thought that I wanted to have a business partner involved, and that was a bit of a mistake. I'm still good friends with the person, but I just realized that when you have a creative vision, sometimes two people can't come together and both have a creative vision because you just start bumping heads. And I felt like I needed to start over like completely on my own. And even though I knew that'd be more of a challenge because the person that I was teaming up with had a lot of great connections for getting in stores and stuff like that, I just knew ultimately like I want to be in control of the creative vision. Like I have a very specific vision and like I want to make bathing suits that are what I like, that are my style. And so that was a huge step back at the beginning as well because we had already started to like get involved in this business together. So, you know, then it became like going the separate way and just, you know, owning the trademark yourself and all that stuff. I would say the biggest challenge with the swimwear line is I definitely picked something that's a little bit more seasonal.
Yeah.
So when you're promoting swimwear all throughout the year, you got to get creative with different ways to do so, especially when it's the winter. But yeah, no, that it's actually been a really like, I wouldn't say easy. I don't know what the word is. I guess a very relaxed process with the swimwear line. I had another clothing line before, and that one was a little bit harder. I had it in Zoomies. Oh, wow. It was doing really good, but then the pandemic happened. Even though it was doing good, Zoomies had so much inventory that was left, and you know, malls were closed. People weren't shopping, and so they had all this inventory left from brands that they've had in their store for like 20 years, like the Volcoms, and so basically like my girl from Zoomies told me, she's like, this literally has nothing to do like with you or your brand. Your brand has done really well with us, but we are in over our head. You know, people are going bankrupt, losing money. We have to get rid of this inventory from brands we've had relationships with for 20 years. Right. So that became the end of my relationship with Zoomies, with that brand. And then I just felt like I grew as a person as far as like, I didn't like the name of my brand. And I was like, I just want to restart with something that's like a fresh new name, you know? And so that maybe to some people came off like, oh, it failed. But I'm like, it didn't fail. It literally did really well. It sold out of the store. And then when it was time to like renew and get more stuff with Zoomies, it was like, sorry, like our stores have been closed for a month and a half. We can't take in any new inventory. And so that was like, it broke my heart a little bit because it was like, oh my God, like I finally got this clothing line popping. It's in practically every Zoomies in the country. Wow. And it was heartbreaking because I was like, oh, like, you know, and that's where my fan base, you know, the Ridiculousness fan base, the very action sports fan base, which is Rob's fan base too. You know, that's the type of store they shop at. So it was a great place for me to have a clothing line for my fans, you know. But I do want to explore getting more in the brand world of female brands. And that's been a little hard for me too. I came from Rob Dyrdek's world. I have a very male heavy fan base, the action sports fan base, all these skateboarders and stuff. But I want to grow in the woman's space as well. You know, I want to have a makeup line, a hair line, clothing line that girls can get into. And so that's when I realized, you know, I want to shift.
Being that the internet is such a crazy place, what is the strangest rumor you've actually read about yourself that wasn't true?
Okay, I'm sure you've heard this one, and it's been actually an interesting thing for me to experience because of it. So a rumor started that I am Minkus from Boy Meets World, which, let me just say, this is why it's so crazy too. Growing up, people would be like, yo, you look like Topanga from Boy Meets World. And I'm like, when did I go from Topanga to Minkus? When? People told me I looked like Topanga. Now I'm the freaking little boy nerd one.
She was everyone's celebrity's crush. She still is people's
No, and the
celebrity's
funniest
crush.
thing is, like, as a kid, I would always get, oh, you look like Topanga.
Yeah.
And then as an adult, people were like, oh, she was Minkus as a kid, okay?
I think I saw the picture side by side.
Yes,
Like
and I guess he could have been my brother. You know, we do look alike. And so people started to think, and like I started to feel bad too, because like, you know, transgender youth started to reach out to me thinking that I'm transgender. And that's when I started to feel a little bit bad too, because it's like the person who started this rumor isn't now just affecting me. You're making people like come and idolize me thinking that they can relate to me, and I'm not transgender. And it makes me in an awkward position because I have to break it to some of these young fans of mine. Like, I'm sorry, sweetie, like I'm not trans, I'm a woman, but I'm so supportive of you. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that is a rumor that, you know, it's a funny one, but it's also kind of like, I think, hurt people. And I would say predominantly my fans who thought that I was also trans and that they could like maybe relate to me or like look up to me for guidance. And so that's it's just a crazy rumor that went. And the weirdest thing is there's a YouTube about it where it's like got millions of views. And I was like, I need to get this taken down. And I'm gonna try again. But like the last legal I had try for it was like, oh, they debunked the rumor in the video. So it's not like fake or whatever. But I'm like, but the headline is fake. You know what I mean? And so that rumor is just, it really bugs me because I'm a woman. I went through a strenuous birth process. Okay. Like, and it makes me feel bad for like my trans fans who think that like maybe I'm trans also, that they can relate to me. And I have to continuously like break the hearts of those fans, you know?
I actually feel bad for Michelle Obama because people swear to God that she is a man.
Okay. So listen, let me just tell you, I'm gonna be honest. I believe a lot of conspiracies.
Okay.
I believe a lot of them. Some are not conspiracies. Let's let that be known.
Yeah.
That one's a conspiracy. My stepmother went to the same high school as Michelle Obama. Funny enough, my co-star from Ridiculousness, Sterling, went to the same high school as well, okay? Which is such a coincidence too. My stepmom and Sterling went to the same high school. Literally, Michelle Obama went to that high school. She was an outstanding student. There's like pictures of her as a teenage girl in like the, you know, like the glass cases of the high school. And it's like, it's so crazy how people have like taken this rumor